Cool. We are recording. You guys are now officially YouTube stars. No, you're not, but you could be. I mean, maybe you are. I haven't stalked you all yet. But yes, so my name is Jeff New. It is pronounced New, just like N-E-W. Please feel free to call me Jeff. You can call me Professor New, whatever you prefer. I don't have a preference. I do prefer you do not call me Mr. New, and that's not because it's a bad thing. It's just my dad's a grumpy old man, and that's what he's referred to as. And so we can spare me a few more years before I take that title. That'd be very much appreciated. This is organizational dynamics. And so by show of hands, how many of you are ministry majors? Okay, and how many of you are business majors? And how many of you don't know what major you are? Okay, that's good. We should know by now, right? It's 400 level class. So cool. I think this is a really cool hybrid of a class because of having ministry and business majors. And then the concept is so tied together. I want to just start off tonight. I want to talk a little bit about Zoom. I'm sure you've heard this a few times. I'm sure you guys are tired of talking about Zoom. But I do want to just talk about Zoom, set some kind of guidelines, parameters. I want to do an interactive activity. So you could use your computer, you can use your phone, your tablet. Basically, we're going to do a poll and your answers will actually show up on the screen, and it's something that has nothing to do with anything important. It's just about me. So then we'll spend some time, we'll talk about the class and what you can expect. I'll answer any questions you might have, kind of tell you some of the big components of it. I'll tell you what you can expect as far as your assignments for the week, which will be posted on Moodle. And then just a kind of disclaimer is because of the culture shock of starting class online and starting class, my plan is to go easy on you for the first week. Not because I'm nice, but because I'm smart. Okay, so remember that I'm smart. I'm not nice, I'm very mean. So yes, Zoom. If you all right now could, in the chat box, just type in hi or hello or some kind of a greeting, that's extremely helpful to me because that allows me to take attendance. So one of the weird, awkward things that you may or may not know about Zoom is when you record, the chat is saved. There's no private chat, so whatever you're already chatting is on there, so that's fine. Everyone sees it. I'm not too worried about that. But this is just how I'm going to take attendance. So I will try to remind you at the beginning of every class to do that. Second thing is you guys are doing good is if I can see your faces, that's the best. If there's an absolute reason that I can't see your face, or you're like some kind of federal witness protection person and you shouldn't show your face, just let me know, because that's kind of a cool thing. I feel like important. And I'll talk to my friends that know people, and we'll figure it all out. Anyways, so if I can see your face, make sure your name is actually your name that you prefer me to call you by, and your last name, just so that I can track you. That way, it is going to take me a while to learn names and faces because we don't get to have those interactions. And same thing with class. Like normally I would go to class early. Some of you would come to class early. We would have small talk, and that helps me to get to know you. Unfortunately, we don't have that. So I'm working on trying to figure out how to do names and faces, so that would help me out a lot. If you guys mostly are pretty good, I did post on Moodle just some tips for how to Zoom well, how to Zoom like a pro is what I called it, because I didn't know what else to call it. I do Zoom a lot. So right now, showing my nerdy side, I have 3 lights on me right now. I have a USB microphone right here on a boom arm with a pop filter. So this is my life. I have 2 monitors in front of me. As soon as I can get the funding, I'm getting a camera. That's just, my whole life is on Zoom right now. So I feel like you being students, being on Zoom all the time, it's painful. And actually behind me, you can barely see it, but I have a desk frame for a sit-stand desk that I will be putting together shortly, so that when I lecture, I can stand up, because sitting down is painful. So Any questions about Zoom or things like that? Okay. In this class, if you guys want to use a virtual background, for whatever reason you don't have control of what goes on behind you, you don't want to clean your space you're in, or you don't want people to judge you by what's in your background, just shoot me an email or whatever. I made a couple of, I'm going to say cheesy, but they're Life Pacific backgrounds. So they're basically different colors and it has the logo on it. So I don't think I have one right now that I can pull up real easy. But I can give you one of those if you'd prefer. And I think that's all I have to say about Zoom. Yeah, we could all hate Zoom right now, but the reality is Zoom is amazing because it allows us to work and do school, and it's way better than Skype. I don't know if you guys know Skype, but that's old. Cool. All right, so here's what I would like to do. If you could bust out a phone, a tablet, and or if you're on a computer, you can do it on that. I am going to go ahead and share screen. So just give me a moment here. Awesome. So hopefully you can see my screen right now. For some reason, I lost my visual of you. So let me figure this out. This has never happened to me before. Sorry, this is awkward. I'll go ahead and stop real quick. That's weird. I've never experienced that before. Let me try this. I gotta go screen share. I'm gonna try one more time. Sorry. I'll try to look smart. Told you I'm smart. I wanted to stay true to that. So let me do this again. All right. So on the screen, you can see how to join by text or join by web. So you could go to pollev.com and just put in Professor New 191, or you can text to 37607. And the first question I have for you is, what is your professor's favorite food? I know, really hard 400 level class question. So you've met me, you've talked to me. Actually, you haven't talked to me. You've heard me talk for like 5 minutes now, 10 minutes now. I have no idea how long it's been. I think it's still Tuesday. So what is my favorite food? I'm gonna go ahead and let your responses show up. Those are not the correct answers, technically. Those are the answers you are putting. So this is a thought cloud. So as you put your answers, they will show up. I want to know who had goulash for dinner. Cool. So I see tacos, fried chicken, pizza, cinnamon roll. Ooh, cinnamon rolls. I've never had cinnamon rolls. I mean, I've had cinnamon rolls. I've eaten them. I've consumed them. I've even made them, but I've never had that as an answer for this survey. It's probably my favorite answer on the board. Um, Yes, well, see, this is one of those questions that doesn't have an answer because I love food. I'm obviously, as you can tell, a very skinny person. I'm a person who food is my love language. I love feeding people. And I don't like just like buying you a pizza or whatever. I like cooking you a meal that you'll like. And so and I like textures in food. I like colors in food. In fact, the other day, our 4-year-old was playing in his little play kitchen and he goes, "Hey, mommy, I put this in it so there'd be some texture to it." And she looks at me and she's like, "You made a monster out of him." I'm like, "I know." But so yes, I do love tacos. We make tacos all the time at our house, and we just started making tostadas. Like that's our new kick, rather than using Tortilla for the taco. We've been frying them for tostadas. We don't get to go out to eat as much anymore because we're home, so there's no reason to go out to eat. So yeah, cool. Well, if that one was easy, let's try this one. What are my hobbies? Cooking, it could be a hobby, kind of a necessity in life. It's like mixed. Government, underground. Underground what? Um, okay. So I see video games, tech stuff. Um, yeah. So I like to camp. Um, Backpacking, I have done backpacking. I've done cross country skiing. I've done all that. I love to travel. I've been to, I think it's up to 13 countries. So it's one of my favorite things to do. Right now, the worst part of COVID is not traveling. We were supposed to do a family trip to Hawaii this summer, but that got canceled. So instead, we bought an above ground pool, which isn't the same, but it's as close to Hawaii as we're going to get. Yeah, we're one of those families that bought a huge above ground pool in May because I'm like, this is going to be a while. Um, yeah, video games, I'm too old for those. My brain does not comprehend them. Part of it is I started playing on like a 13-inch screen when I was younger, and now like these 55+ inch screens just like make me completely like motion sick. I do try to play Minecraft with my boys. I actually started building a Death Star in Minecraft the other day, so that was pretty awesome. But I can only play for about 30 minutes before I'm like, I need a break. So cool. Let's do the next one. What is your professor's favorite movie? Someone always puts the Notebook, and they think they're so funny. Life of Pi. Cool. Um, of what has been listed, Star Wars is definitely my favorite. I do not like the newest one that came out. I was rather disappointed with that. Fun fact, I got married on Star Wars Day. So I got to, I wore, and my boys, we all wore Star Wars Stormtrooper socks. And then my brother came on, he like showed me his socks. He had Chewbacca socks. And then my dad came up, he's like, mine are better. And he pulled them up and he had Darth Vader socks that says, I am your father. Um, so getting married on Star Wars Day was not the plan. It just kind of fell on that day. But I forever cherish that because shortly after we got free tickets to Disneyland and got to go fly the Millennium Falcon. And so it's just been super fun that way. So I don't have a favorite movie. I can't really sit through and watch movies. I get bored very easily. You're already seeing that I go on rabbit trails a lot, and I've already switched to question while talking about the last one. So, what is my favorite band or performing artist? This is going to be an interesting class. And it's so weird to see you all laugh and not hear you laugh. Who put Anne Boleyn? It's been a long time since I heard them. Cool.
They're so good though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a while. I kind of want to listen to them now.
Me
We
too.
do we do listen to Reliant K a lot in our house. That was a high school era thing for me. And my dog's name is Sadie, so we always call her Sadie Hawkins. Um, cool. My absolute favorite band in the world is Switchfoot. So I have seen them in concert several times. I was actually supposed to see them this month, but obviously that got canceled. It was with Stone Temple Pilots and um, Nickelback, I think. But I didn't care about the others. I only cared about Switchfoot. But that got canceled. So I'm devastated. Oh well. But cool. All right, let's see. We got a couple more. What kind of vehicle do I drive? This is usually more fun, like when some of you actually see me like drive on the campus or walk in from the parking lot. So um, right now I have like a 5-wheel chair, but I don't know what brand it is, but it's not a vehicle. So my absolute favorite answer that I've ever gotten was when I taught at Cal State Fullerton. It was a gunmetal gray Mustang. That student was my absolute favorite because they made me feel cool, and no people, that's not a normal thing for me. Um, Prius is actually the most common answer that I receive. Um, I just think it's because, in academia, they think you care about the environment. No, I actually drive a full-size Dodge Ram pickup truck. And so I upgraded from a little Ford Ranger a few years back, and it's amazing to have a Hemi and a pickup truck. It's amazing for camping and towing trailers, things like that. So, all right, a couple more. What state did I grow up in? What state did I grow up in? See, what you're starting to do now is you're starting to listen to everything I've said to you and make guesses. And I actually changed the order before because I asked what state I grew up in and I asked what my favorite food is. And because people knew what state I grew up in, they tried to figure out what food they were going to put. Washington. Who's from Washington? No one? You just really like Washington in this class? Actually, born and raised in Upland, California, so not too far from San Dimas. And I currently live one city over in the city of Rancho Cucamonga, California. So if you know where Victoria Gardens is or Bass Pro Shop, I live in that city, not far from there. I miss going there to the Bass Pro Shop. I don't care about Victoria Gardens. Yeah, cool. Let's see what the next one is. What would I be doing? This is the last one. What would I be doing for a career if I wasn't teaching? What would I be doing for a career if I wasn't teaching? Someone is very fixated on that one little thing I said. A chef, a pilot. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to do that. State trooper. No, there's a physical, like a physical exam for the state troopers. I would not pass that. Like if I had to jump over a wall or run, yeah. Cool. Um, that's fun. So I will answer this question. Actually, teaching is a part-time job for me. So I'm an adjunct for Life Pacific. This is actually my second year at Life Pacific. I taught back in the 2014-2015 academic year. But then I became full-time at my church. So I'm actually a family pastor for Grace Church of Laverne. So I oversee birth to 30 somethings there. I also do nonprofit consulting, and I also teach at Azusa Pacific University in their communication studies department. So, yeah, at this point, I am going to stop the screen share, and I'm going to let you, if you have any questions, ask, or if you want me to elaborate on anything, go ahead. I feel like if we were in person, this would be a very, very talkative class. Yeah. So, yeah. So, me just give you a little background on me. Like I said, I grew up in California. I did my undergraduate experience at Azusa Pacific, um, and I got my degree in communication studies. I then went on to Cal State Fullerton to work on my master's in communication studies, and I was teaching there. I had it's called a teaching assistantship. Then I decided to drop out, and I then began my time at University of Laverne, where I got my master's in leadership and management for nonprofit organizations. That whole time was God, I felt, was calling me to work in the church and to be in the church, and I was saying, heck no. I don't want to work at a church. I don't want to be involved in a church. And I had some really bad church experiences during that time where I stopped going to church altogether. And I basically said, God, I love you, but I don't love your church. I don't like your church. And I felt like I received a prompting on my heart of God saying, I love my church. And if you love me, you'll love the things I love. And I said a bunch of bad words that I won't say on Zoom because we're recording. And I ended up going to Grace Church of Laverne by a fluke. My mom asked if I would go with her, and because she was also looking for a church at this time. And I ended up getting connected there, and I've been there ever since. So I started going there in 2011. A year later, they hired me after I said I would never do youth ministry again. I would never do anything again. Then a couple years later, I went from part-time, because I was going to be a professor, to full-time. And so that's at that time is when I made the decision not to return to Life Pacific, because I didn't know how I was going to teach full-time and work full-time. So yeah, it's kind of my journey. So I have done some consulting for nonprofits as well, for like social media strategy stuff, or community relations stuff, for startup, for legal things. Actually, my computer is set up on my 3-inch law class binder, so that is eye level. So people ask me nonprofit law stuff all the time, and I have no clue what they're asking, but I pretend like I do because they think I'm smart. Yeah. So any questions? No? Cool. Well, that's me. One of your assignments for the week is basically, it's like 20 questions. So you're going to participate in a forum, and you're not going to try and guess something in that way. You're just going to ask a really good question for me to answer next class. It can be a serious question. It could be like, what's the greatest life lesson you've ever learned? It can be a really lame question like, was the dress really blue or black? I don't know. Or it could be, would you rather? That's what we do a lot. So I told you about me kind of professionally, personally. I'm married. My wife and I got married a little over a year ago on Star Wars Day. She is also a pastor in the same city, but at a different church. And she is currently, in addition to working full-time at her church and she's finishing her Master's of Divinity. On top of that, we homeschool. So we have 2 boys. They're my wife's boys. So they're my stepsons. They're ages 9 and 4. And so it's kind of if any of you have grown up in a blended family or anything like that, I completely understand. So they actually just came back a few minutes ago. I don't know if you heard any loud noises, but they just came back from their dads. So they're going to be with us through the weekend. So we get to homeschool. And when I say we get to homeschool, I mean my wife homeschools them and I do what she tells me. And one day she's like, you're doing science with them. And I said, okay. And so I put on Bill Nye. And that's what we did. So yeah, it's been really weird for both of us because normally our Sundays are super crazy busy. And then we work obviously in offices throughout the week. My church made a decision before COVID that we would start working remotely, which was great because I already spent a lot of time at Panera. That was my office. And then COVID hit and we all ended up at home and we had to finish the school year at home. We had to work at home. And then we started doing recordings. And then so she's recording, I'm recording. And that's why I have so many lights and so many different things. I lead the, well, I used to just lead the middle school, but I had to retake over the high school group as well throughout the summer. And so all that's on Zoom, all our games. Our church met at a public school, so we don't have a building. So that's a whole nother thing. So when Chemo or Dr. Walls asked if I would teach this class, I think most of you know him, right? Cool. Um, the really good wisdom. But when he asked me to teach this class, I'm like, what better time is there to teach a class such as this than when literally the whole world is changing how it does stuff? And so I do read about the news. I read about politics. I read about that every night. Um, and it is crazy to see how many large companies are completely going to remote working. REI just sold or selling their headquarters, and they are going to go to remote working. Facebook is doing remote working through June of 2021 right now. And this global pandemic is, yes, it's affecting politics and health and all this other stuff. And there's lots of global tensions, but it is completely changing the way that some businesses operate. And when you see companies like Instacart, like hire tens of thousands of workers, you can imagine that most people who had never done Instacart before, my family is one of them, might continue to do that. I like food too much where I hated Instacart. So once we got past that like 3 week shutdown in California, I started shopping again. But it really sucks going to buy food and not being able to like smell it and all that. That's just a really weird rabbit trail. But yeah, I'm excited for this class. I am going to do my best to make it relevant and exciting for you as well. I'm also doing my best to utilize our time since we have a synchronous and an asynchronous component. My plan for this class, just to kind of go over that with you, is not to spend, I mean, obviously the first week is me talking a lot more because we haven't started, but it's for me not to talk the whole time in future classes. And I would like for maybe a little bit of time a lecture, but also mostly time for discussion, for maybe we'll do some breakout things as we go. I'm still kind of working on it because at one point we were going to be on campus, and so that's what I had planned for. And then a few weeks ago they said we're not on campus, but it's just been kind of back and forth. So I kind of held off and said, how are we going to do this class? But I want you to know that I'm going to make Zoom. I'm hoping to make Zoom something that you're not like dreading to log on to, especially since it's at the end of the day. I want to make it worth your time. I want to make it fun. That's not my first priority. So I'm trying to think what else I have on my notes right now. Any questions so far on class? No? Cool. All right. We are like booking through. I was expecting some questions, but you guys are like, nope, nope. What's the answer to life, the universe, and everything else? Kyle's got it. Except is you got to do it the other way because it was like backwards when you showed it to us. Yeah, so the answer is 42. Jackie Robinson's number, just in case you were wondering. Yes, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's your first homework assignment. Watch that movie. Cool. Well, let's see. How many of you are familiar and connected with Moodle so far and you've navigated it? Okay. Have you checked out our course Moodle page, at least a general section that's been published for you? Okay, if you haven't, you definitely want to do that. I have it on my other monitor here, so I'm sorry if my eyes are, I'm looking to the right here. So just to kind of talk to you, if you haven't, you can pull it up. You can totally walk through. I just want to explain it. So right now, what is published is general. So there's announcements. If you haven't spent any time on Moodle, check the announcements out. There's a survey on there that I'd really like for you to all fill out. It's just a student introduction survey. If you've done it, great. If you haven't, please do it. And then if you say that I'm allowed to text you, you'll get a creepy text from me saying, hi. But that's my way of saying, hey, now you have my cell phone number. If you have a question, text it to me, email me, whatever, send it through Moodle. It's not that I want to be your BFF. I really don't. It's that I want you to know that I'm here to advocate for you, to cheer for you, to help you. This is a learning experience for us all as far as the format. But I think that as we get into the content of the course, I don't know. I just have a feeling that this class is, because of the dynamic of ministry and business, it's just going to be super fun. Because churches should run like a business, but they're not businesses. And then if you're a Christian in business, shouldn't your business run like a church? So think about that. And that's would be a good discussion for us in a minute. But
What were you saying? Sorry, I have a question.
yeah.
I don't know if I was supposed to raise my hand or what. It's kind of awkward, but so you said there's a survey to fill out or something?
Yeah. So in the announcements on Moodle,
Oh, okay.
I sent a link. I think I sent in both of the announcements. It's just a link to a survey. It's a quick little Survey Monkey survey. It just helps me to know where in the
Okay.
world you are, contact info, and just anything you might want me to know about you.
Okay, for sure.
It's just to help me like have that small talk experience with you in a sense. Um, so I am, after our class ends, I will make week 1 live on Moodle. And so it's going to be pretty simple. There's going to be a start here tab. And if you go to the start here tab, I have a video where I just went through a screencast and I explained everything to you. So if you get confused and you're like, this doesn't make sense, just go watch it. My goal is to make them shorter as I get more comfortable and used to doing it. I think it's like 5 minutes for this week. Underneath that will be a spot where the Zoom recording will be. That will be up later tonight or first thing tomorrow. I do ask for grace of like 48 hours just in case, because there's stuff that goes on in this house. And when I'm done here, I'm going to go help with bedtime and do all that. And so I'll upload it after. So Zoom recording, and then there's your assignments. Your assignments this week are super chill. I hope they're chill. One of them is simply update your Moodle profile. Make sure you have a current picture on there. I have all the how-tos and how to do that. If you get stuck, let me know. I'm going to have you do an introduce yourself video. So it's you just take your phone or your tablet and you're going to say 3 things about yourself and you're going to post it on Moodle. It's an opportunity for the class to see your face, hear your voice, and just learn a little bit about you. It's going to be a little uncomfortable, probably, especially if you're not used to that kind of thing. But again, this is just for a class. So if you need to post it to YouTube as unlisted and copy the link over, that's fine. Or if you post it directly, that's fine. There's a syllabus quiz. So watch a little video about the syllabus, look over the syllabus, take the quiz. The question for the prof. You have 2 other assignments to do. One is called Creative Confidence, where you're going to watch a TED Talk. So I love TED Talks. In fact, in my public speaking classes that I teach, they have to give TED Talks with no notes. So they have to stand up do a 5 to 7 minute speech, no notes, to speak. And you'll have that opportunity to give a speech with no, I'm just kidding. But don't worry, I get them to that element, I get them to that level. And the other one is simply open your book. So when we talk about books, this is the main text for the class. Hopefully you have this, or you have this on order, or you're planning on stealing it from someone in an ethical way. But this will be the main course text. My goal, because this is something that I hated with my college and graduate experience, is not to lecture on the book. I want you to read the book. You will have some assignments to do. I will refer to the book. I'll refer to, they were talking about different frames of organizations. I will refer to those in the lecture, but the lectures and the other assignments will be supplemental to the text. So if you think that I'm just going to lecture on a text and you'll be okay, you won't be okay. Sound good? That doesn't mean if you have questions on a text, you want to talk about things in a text, you can totally um, do that with me in class and synchronous time here. Sound good? Okay. Then there are 2 other books for the class, but you only need one of them. So if you're a business major, Speak Performance is the book that you will want. This is all posted on Moodle and the syllabus as well. I am almost done with this book. If you are a ministry major, Firestorm, this was actually a pool book for me this summer. It's kind of fun. I just read it while floating in a pool. So I have very fond memories of the pool. Of the book. Anyways, so these are books that you will read on your own and you will do a book review and critique on. I'm finalizing that assignment and it'll be up probably under the general tab this week. So I say all that because the last activity I have for you for this week is I want you to open your books. And I don't mean just literally open them. I mean like open them, read the introduction, read the table of contents, get a feel for it. And a good exercise is if you have the time, and I know there's a lot going on, start reading chapter 1 in both books. Get used to the author's writing style, get used for the feel, because you're going to average, I think, 2 chapters a week. I try to finish books quickly so that it builds a foundation of what we need to talk about. So my hope is that we'll get through the reframing organizations rather quickly, but that's going to be about 2 chapters a week you'll average, so you'll read. My thing for you in opening the books is get a feel for it. If you want to read ahead, read ahead. As far as Firestorm and Speak Performance, you'll read those completely on your own. I won't assign chapters. I won't prompt you to read it. And then my goal is by next class to have the outline for the assignment, because you're going to write a paper on that. It's a book review and critique. So I'll have that posted by next week. But if you want to read that book now before things get too busy and then write that paper, we'll talk about what that paper looks like next week. Does that make sense? Okay. Sorry, I feel like I'm very choppy right now, but that's what you can expect. So let me back up a little bit here. Any questions? Am I going too fast? Nathan, go ahead.
Yeah, so will you post like each week, just the week prior before, or is it going to be up sooner than that?
Right now, my plan is to post it as soon as we're done with class. Like if you would prefer it to be open sooner, I'm open if that would help you. What do you guys think? This is your class.
I think it might be helpful to see some of it, but I'm okay with it not too. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
So my original thought behind it was I don't want you to stress out about what's ahead. I want you to focus on what's right now. And sometimes when you see everything, you start to freak out, you start to hyperventilate, you start to want to throw up. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. But if I'm like, okay, this is what I have to do this week, I can do this. I will make sure as we have assignments, projects, things that are larger in their time, that you'll have plenty of time to work on that. So, yeah.
That's good. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, as soon as class is over, I'll post it. If you guys are like, no, it'd be easier if you posted it Monday or Sunday at midnight, I can do that. Um, I feel like the beginning of our week is at 6:45 on Tuesday. So just a few more things about the class is we're only worth 1,000 points. I shouldn't say it's only worth 1,000 points. It's based off of 1,000 points. So points are worth quite a bit. 1 point, 2 points is actually worth something. Class participation, which is going to be different assignments and things we do, is going to be worth 100 points total. The reading and lecture quizzes. So I'm not going to give you quizzes like what is this term or what did they say about this. I'm going to give you more critical thinking and response things, because it's good to be able to read and good to be able to take in new information. But what do we do with it? what do we do with it? And so that's what a lot of the assignments we're going to focus on. You're going to see me say this over and over is, hey, your leaders, your organizational leaders, whether it's for a church, a for-profit business, a nonprofit business, and one of the known things about leaders is they read a lot. And I promise we can all read a lot. But if we all read a lot and I said, hey, tell me about what you read, could you actually tell me about it? Could you actually tell me what you took away? So that's what these reading quizzes or lecture quizzes are going to be. They're more critical thinking. I am not planning on giving any like exams or quizzes in this class. I don't think that they fit for the type of style of teaching that I do. Everything I think is going to build to what our final projects will be. So we'll have the reading and lecture quizzes. This is all in the syllabus, by the way. There's going to be the book review and critique, which is going to be based off of Firestorm Speak Performance. That's worth 200 points. That's going to be due, I think, October 13th. So that's pretty quick. So you're definitely going to want to read that book, and you're definitely going to want to respond. And here's my thing. Once you write that paper, it's only 1,250 to 750 words. It's not that big of a paper. Once you write it, you can send it to me and I will look at it and I will give you feedback based off the content. I'm not going to do editing. I'm not going to do any of that, but I will look at it and I will give you feedback. If you give me 48 hours to look at it and get it back to you, I will look at it and get that rough draft back to you with any thoughts I have. So if you want to read it and write it and send it to me, you can send it to me as many times as you want, and I will give you feedback on it until the day it's due. But if you send it to me like 2 days before it's due, you're not necessarily going to get it back in time. Make sense? My goal is not to make your life miserable. My goal is not to stress you out. My goal is to help you learn and to help you better understand organizational dynamics. You will have a biblical integration paper. I'm tying that in with your final project because it seems appropriate for that timing. It's worth 100 points, but it's where you're going to have to wrestle with your faith and wrestle with the content of this class. It's not a very long paper, but if you are going to say that you are Christian and a business person, what does that mean? What does it mean to be a Christian? I think of plumbers all the time because they make way more money than me, but you always see the plumber truck go by with a little fish on it. And it's like, what does it mean to be a Christian plumber? Does that mean that I can trust you won't rip me off? Or does that mean as you take my money, you're going to say, God bless you? So what does it mean to be Christian and a business person? What does it mean to be a church leader in this world? And how can you fire someone as a pastor? How do you fire someone as a pastor? How do you deal with conflict? That's why you see a lot of, especially smaller churches, there's a lot of shady stuff that can happen if there's not good systems, if there's not good accountability. So I want you to really think about this class and tie in some biblical perspective. And I don't expect, if you're a business major, for you to give me a whole exegetical type response to this. If you're a ministry major, you can, but that's up to you. There'll be obviously parameters. The big thing you're going to do is an organizational dynamics project. So I will put you into groups. So yes, it is a group assignment. Yes, you will have an impact on your group mates' grades. So if you're the group mate that is going to ride on everyone else's coattails, everyone else will have a say in what your final grade will be. So it's like Survivor. You're going to get voted off the island. But no, it's the reality. This is a really good time to have group work when it's all virtual. But I am going to put accountability systems in there, which do affect your grade. Because in the real world, if you don't work on a group project, you're going to get fired. I can't fire you, but I can fail you. It starts with an F. It's about the same. So I'm not going to fail you. You can fail yourself. That's about it. But that's going to be a group paper and a presentation. So it's going to be very different because of the virtual aspect. Um, I will probably get some feedback from you since we have synchronous and asynchronous students. I'm actually going to mix you guys up with that. So your presentation might be you recording yourselves and putting something together. So you might be learning how to do some video editing in the midst of things. Any questions so far? Okay. Then the last thing that you will have is it's called a passion project, inspired by Google. Normally I make this worth 20% of your grade, but because I just took this class over, I could only carve out 10%. This is where you get to take everything you've learned. And this is your final for the class. You'll take everything you've learned and apply it to something you're passionate about. What that looks like is totally up to you, but it better be worth 10% of your grade. And if it's worth 10% of your grade, you should be putting 10% of your time into that. And so there's a book, I don't have it right here, but it's called The Fred Factor. And I don't know if you've ever heard of it or read it, but I got permission from the library, so you don't have to spend any money. If you'd rather read it and spend the money, you can, or audiobook. But I will read the book to you, not like on class. I'll record myself reading the book so you can listen to it. So hopefully my voice isn't too disturbing for you. But I'll record myself reading it and put it on like a video format so you can listen to it. And I'll put a chapter or two up every week. And I want you to listen to that. And that's going to be kind of your guiding principle for your passion project. That sound good? So if I asked you right now, what are you passionate about? Could you tell me? Okay, some of you can't. If you can't, start thinking about what are you passionate about? And the way that I have learned to define passion is what are you willing to suffer for? So I can say this because we're Christian university, but if you think about it, Passion Week is the week leading up to Easter, and it's the week of Christ suffering. And so that's where I kind of get this idea of if you're willing to suffer for it. So I've done youth ministry since I've been 16 years old. And I've done youth ministry in the church setting, in the YMCA setting. I've worked at a camp for a while. I am passionate about youth ministry. I'm passionate about high school students. I believe in them. I've sacrificed sleep. I've taken injuries. I have lost sanity. I have gray hair because of it. I can't tell you the amount of things I've done. When you get the call that someone is a danger to themselves, when you just drop everything, you go to the hospital, you go pick someone up who just had a nervous breakdown, and you take them to Raising Cane's Chicken, whatever it is. Like, I'm passionate about that. I'm also very passionate about teaching. I don't necessarily, not necessarily because I like to teach and I feel like I'm the smartest person in the room. I know I joked about that. I know I'm not. As soon as I think I am, then I need to like humble myself. But I like being able to connect with young adults, with college students, and to encourage you, to guide you, to teach you maybe. So, and that's why I give you my cell phone number. I know that, one of you are going to be in a panic one day, and right now we're in different time zones. So, and I'm going to get a random text at 10, 11, 12 o'clock, maybe 1 in the morning. That's fine. I won't know it until the morning, but you can do that. So also just another way, like there's different ways you can connect with me, just so you know. It's email, there's Moodle, there's texting, calling. If you want to call me, text me first to schedule it, because I don't like talking on the phone very much. But also I have, for this semester, I created an Instagram and a Twitter account. It's just at Professor New. And so I'm planning on, if I post an announcement or anything onto Moodle, I will also post something on Twitter or Instagram, so that it's just another way where you can see what's going on. I'm not posting any personal stuff. It's not my personal one. So yeah, I think that's all I have about that. Any questions, concerns, thoughts? Is anyone ready to drop? I think you have like 2 weeks to do that. So if you want to drop, it's okay. Just do it before I learn your name. I don't want to waste my time and energy on you if you're going to drop. So if I laugh too hard, I lose my earbuds. But I do want to give a disclaimer. I do have a dry and sarcastic sense of humor. If you haven't caught on, you will. If I say something that catches you off guard or it seems like you don't like, please just tell me. I have no problem admitting that I'm wrong. And I don't say it because I'm like, I'm wrong. Okay, let's move on. No, I try to be aware and sensitive, but sometimes I don't know, I'm stupid. But I am still smart. Okay. Fair? This is all recorded, just so you know. All right, Nathan, any questions? No. Matthew? No. Kyle? What are you eating, Kyle?
Pop-Tarts, they go hard too. They hit the spot right now. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh my gosh, that is not food. That is like cardboard that they had put like frosting on.
My friend, you do not understand the fullness of the gospel. You don't like Pop-Tarts. Hate to say it.
My friend, you follow a false gospel.
Oh. Okay, for sure.
That is one food item that Jesus would not multiply for anyone. Okay. I think you gave me a minute. I want to look at my notes, but I don't have time. Is it Adelia? How do you say it? I'm sorry. I'm way off.
It's Italia.
Italia.
Yes, sir.
Questions, thoughts?
Not really. No.
No. Say your name again.
Italia.
Italia. Okay. I might remember that, but I'll probably ask you 23 more times.
I won't hold it against you.
Okay. Well, you can, and you're totally allowed to because you've told me 3 times now. Yeah. Christina, you got like a nice blue purple sky behind you. I don't know if you've taken a chance to look at that, but you should. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? Okay. Rose, what about you?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. And you just added yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So is there a fun story about that?
Not really. They just I was supposed to take math and then they canceled the class. So here I am.
This is going to be way easier than math. The usefulness is questionable.
Okay.
Destiny, what about you?
I think I'm good. Besides, when will the list be up for the group project so we know who we're with?
Once I get to know you a little bit more, I know I've joked about stalking you. I'm not really stalking you, but I do try to like get to know you and then form groups around that so that I can I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I don't try to make it where you're with your friends because sometimes that's harder because that could really damage a friendship, especially when it's the last moment of your project. I also try not to put you in with people you agree with all the time. I'm going to try and make it the best. So this is going to be a little bit harder because it's online, but as soon as we get to it, it's going to be within a couple of weeks. We're actually going to do, have any of you guys done Myers-Briggs before? Most of you? Okay, and then have any of you done the Enneagram? Did you just roll your eyes at me when I said that? You did. Okay, the grin gives it away. Don't worry, I'll call you out. I expect you to call me out. We'll probably spend some time doing the free abbreviated versions of those. I don't know what Life does if there's a ton. I know at APU, they used to do strengths all the time to where like people were encouraged to put their strengths in their like email signature. I don't plan on that. But my boss at church is a strong believer in the Enneagram. And he's right sometimes because if there's conflict, he'll be like, I'm a 6. And he'll be like, you need to learn how a 6 communicates with a 3. And then that will help you in navigating this conversation you need to have. Because he actually has to be a part of some conversations with me, because I will say things as I see them. So, and other people don't receive that too well. So I have to learn how to communicate differently. So I'm saying all that because we're going to do these different assessments, and that's going to help me to diversify your thing. And I'm not going to make you do the full ones. I'm not going to make you do the ones you pay for. I'm going to try and find the ones that will help. And then we'll spend a little bit of time talking about them. I won't tell you when it is because I don't want you to take an absence that day. So Taylor, any questions? No?
Hi, sorry I was late, but no, I don't have any questions right now.
Okay. So how does
Thank
it
you.
feel to be doing school at home in Hawaii?
Well, the time difference is hard because I have like classes in the morning, but other than that, it's good. Yeah.
Okay. So it is what, 5 o'clock there, almost dinner time?
4:46 exactly.
Cool. Travis, any questions?
Nope, everything's all clear.
Cool. I'm going to say it wrong. Donai? Nye. Like Bill Nye. There we go.
Yep.
That's a really bad, helpful thing for me. Donai. All right. Questions, concerns?
No, not here right now.
Okay. Cool. Well, if you guys need anything from me, please do not hesitate to reach out. As soon as we close out this call, I will make live our Moodle for the week. So I encourage you, just since you have time budgeted, just go ahead and check it out. And then, yeah. Cool. All right. I'll be here if you guys need to talk about anything. If not, class dismissed.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Peace.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
That's it.